Hey everyone, Simplode here with Off Meta Bros, and today I am bringing you another deck profile video. This one's going to be focused on OP07 Vegapunk. Now this is a deck that has gotten, I wouldn't say a lot of recognition, but definitely can be a fun deck to play, along with be pretty competitive if you play it right, along with put the right cards in the deck. Now the reason I have this winner card here is because back in 8.5, I did get top 8 with this build. Now, there is a new addition to the deck that I put in there with OP09, in which I'll show you that, of course, with the profile here. But I just wanted to just let you know that this deck can top at locals if played correctly, which I did, and I actually beat a couple meta decks along the way, including Black Yellow Luffy at the time. Alright, so let's get right into it. So of course, Vegapunk cannot attack. Now, originally, up to this point, any leader that couldn't attack that was a dual color usually had 5 life. Now, this is only a mono color, but only has 2 life. That's because his activate main is very powerful. So once per turn, you can just rest 1, and then you can play an Egghead type card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand, and play it either in play on the board, or you can add to the top of your life face up. So as you can see, every single turn you could be either playing a character for 1 or adding a life for 1, so it can be pretty effective. Now, I do something a little bit different with this deck. You might see some builds online that will use big characters near the end, but I play this deck very aggressively, and I think that's one of the main reasons why this deck can be competitive if you play it that way. I kind of play it like Arlong, where I don't really have anything higher than just the 5 cost. I have one set of cards in there which you'll see, but anything higher than that I just don't play because I just don't see the point of it. I'd rather play a character out along with potentially a couple other characters, along with maybe I can play 2 characters with 4 or less, and then maybe put 1 card at the top of my life. I think this deck can be a lot more competitive while playing that type of strategy. So let's get right into it. I first run 4 of the Lilith Searchers. This is a must for the deck. Pretty simple. On play, you can search the top 5 and then add 1 Egghead type card to your hand. Again, this is a play or first turn type of play. You know, if you have 1 Dawn, boom, you can play this out by resting 1 Dawn for the leader ability. So you can right then and there, you already have by turn 2 a 5k attacker on the board. I then run 4 of the Atlas. This is a great card, especially early game, because it cannot be KO'd in battle if you have less life. Well, with Vegapunk, you're already at 2, so right then and there, you already have that advantage to play this out in turn 1, and you can have no fear of continuing to swing with it, unless, of course, they KO it by effect, but not many decks can do that early game. Then run 4 of the Pythagoras. I think this is a great card as well, especially with the on KO ability. So on KO, if you have 2 or less life cards, you can play up to 1 type character with a cost of 4 or less. Egghead type from your trash. So that could be basically anything in the deck. So this is definitely a must. With that being said, with the playstyle of this, a lot of people think you can just continue to add cards to your life. That's not how you really want to play Vegapunk. The way to play Vegapunk, of course, is to control the board on their end, along with keeping your life at maybe 3 max. And you'll see why there's a couple cards that require that in this deck, but you really don't want to go past 3 life, and you'll see why. I then run 4 of the Edisons. I mainly use him for the 2k ability. If you or of course, off the triggers nice as well, because you can play it, but I don't really use it for the on play unless I really need to cycle cards in my hand. I usually just keep this for a 2k. Of course, run 4 of them. Great add. Probably one of the best cards in the deck is the Shakas. A good tip with Shaka is to never play it out. I always add this to the top card of my life because it counts as 2 hits, right? So they'll attack, boom, play it right out from your life, and it counts as basically 2 hits. So I would never really play this out unless I already have 1 on top of my life, or I'm already at 3 life, then I'll play it out. But mainly I'll keep this for adding to the top of life with my leader ability. Then run 4 of the 2k Frankies. nothing really need to say more about it. It's a very common card in a lot of yellow decks now. It's a great 2K along with the trigger ability, especially if you have 1 or less life, which is common in this deck, so it's a must-add. Then run 4 of the 5-cost Egghead Luffy's. It's a great card, especially with the Activate Main ability. I usually like to play him out maybe turn 1, turn 2, attack with it first, then use the ability if need be, if I need to clear out the board, which with Vegapunk you'll need to, because you're, like I said in the beginning, you're constantly at 3 or 2 life, so you'll want to make sure you can have cards in there that can prevent them from having a lot of swings, or aka clearing the board. So definitely have 4 of these in there, along with 4 of the 5-cost Namis. Like in my previous videos, this is a must card in a lot of yellow decks now, but especially in Vegapunk. Obviously for the on-play ability of being able to KO a 5 or less character, along with drawing a card if you have 3 or less. Along with it's the same thing on the trigger. Great card for clearing board. I then run 2 of the S Snakes. I think this has actually been very effective against mini leaders, and also yeah, I believe it's just characters. I'm sorry, not leaders. I'm thinking of Arlong. But this one on play, up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, other than Luffy, cannot attack until your opponent's next turn. It's a great way to stall them out if you need to, especially if you are running low on life. So I would definitely play this out. I think another great card in the deck is having Jewelry Bonnie. The reason I only run 2 is because I very rarely swing with her unless I'm going for game. Now, she's a great card. All you gotta do is attach 1 Dawn, and then if a card or if a leader or a character card deals damage to the other opponent, then you can draw 2 and then trash 1. It's a great cycling card. Again, I only run 2 because I typically don't swing with her because I want to keep her out as long as possible, so every single turn I can potentially cycle cards. Now getting into the non-Egghead cards, which are more of a end-game type scenario, I run 3 of the Rush Aces, and this is another reason why I say you don't want to typically keep your life above 2 or 3, especially 2 in this case, because this can be a nice 7k rush swing if you have 2 or less cards. I've won a couple of games like this. Actually, in the top 8 local I went to, I actually beat a blue Dofi with this because he didn't even realize I had this in the deck. I was able to just throw it down and swing 7 and win the game. I'm a little iffy about this card, but I do run 2 of the Linlins. I haven't really come into a scenario where I really have used these a lot. A lot of them are just trash cards, or if I really need to, but I haven't felt the need to really play this out. But it is a nice way to either clear out the opponent's hand or clear out a life. So I only run 2 right now, but it may be a replacement card. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment. I would love to hear it. Now getting into the events and the stages, I do run 2 of the Egghead stages. This is a killer card, especially, like I said, keeping 3 or less life. You can swing with an Egghead card and then restand it at the end of the turn to prevent it from dying. A lot of the times I will swing with maybe the 6k Shaka and then restand it to be able to use it as a blocker as well, or, like I said, with any other Egghead cards you have. So definitely run at least 2 of these. The new add in OP9 is I do run 3 of the Dureshis. Just like the Bonnies, this is a great cycle card to be able to get more Eggheads into your hand. Most of the Eggheads in this deck are triggers, so it's a great way to be able to search for them and add more to your hand. So definitely run 3 of these. And then finally, I do run 4 of the 1-cost events. I think these are a must. At least you could probably get away with 3, but I do run 4 because I normally don't use this as much for the counter, but as much as I use it for the trigger ability. I'll pay 1 to be able to put this on the top of my life, and then for the trigger, you get to play up to 1 Egghead type character card from your trash. And usually I either do a Shaka, maybe a Nami if I need to clear a board. So definitely a must to have. I run 4 because I've used this every single game, putting it at the top of the life. And then you can see why I don't run a lot of big characters, because I like to running cards like this because I can pull 5 cost or less out and have a full board if need be and go for game. Well, that's about it. That's the Vegapunk deck profile. If you like this video, please comment, subscribe, tell me how you feel. I am going to be playing this in a couple off-meta matchups going forward here, which you'll see on the channel in the future. Again, thanks for watching.